So today I want to go over the 7 deadly sins of weight loss. And I'm guilty of falling victim to every single one of these sins. And the tens of thousands of women that I have coached over the years also fall victim to these 7 deadly sins. And I'm sure you do as well. But what I want to do is share them today, bring them into the light so they don't hide in the shadow, and you can recognize them, nip them in the bud, and not be a victim of these sins anymore. Because these 7 things are literally the only reason that you're not successful on your weight loss journey. So let's dive in. Sin number 1 is pride. Now, this is probably the one I see women falling victim to the most that keeps women stuck. So I've seen women be able to lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, but they kind of always lose the same 15, 20 pounds, right? They lose it and they gain it and they lose it and they gain it. And most of the time, this is because of pride. Now, pride is when you start to get overconfident in your weight loss journey. I see this all the time, okay? So I run a free 6-week challenge, and over this challenge, these women, because I've created such an amazing, fast working plan, these women forget about all the bad habits and all the struggles they had before they started the challenge, and they think they're cured. Which a lot of times you are. You're like 90% cured because I gave you the tools and the knowledge. However, the second you think you got it, the second you think you're going to be immune to mistakes, you think you're overconfident and this time that you finally got it, you've made it, that's when you really fall off your high horse. Okay? And it's like, yes, can you resist your snacking for 6 weeks? Of course. Can you resist your sweet tooth for 6 weeks? Probably if you're motivated enough, right? But when that motivation starts to fade and all you got left is overconfidence, but no motivation, well, then guess what? Overconfidence sinks down the drain real quick and you fall back into old habits. And so, as long as you're not overconfident and you think, I've made it, I've got it, this time is different. No, no, no. There's no such thing as this time is different. It's just this time I'm not going to stop trying, right? There's nothing that makes this time different other than you have the right information finally, right? And the right plan for you, but you're still going to go through the same emotional roller coasters, the same ups and downs, and the same life challenges and obstacles that will always be thrown at you. So that doesn't change, right? You're still going to have moments of weakness. You're still going to have moments of cravings. You're still going to have moments of low motivation, of not wanting to work out, of not wanting to meal prep, right? Like it's not like a switch flips and then you're the superwoman all of a sudden. You still have these same habits that we need to learn, and thinking that those are gone for good and you've got this. I've seen so many women fall off their high horse, and it's really sad because it's very preventable, right? So once you do find the right approach, the right coach, and it all clicks and it feels amazing and easy and the weight's melting off finally, just be aware that there's still more work to be done. That's all, right? Yes, you're allowed to be confident. And you know what? I even say you're allowed to be cocky because I like to call myself cocky. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of confidence in yourself because, I mean, what's the alternative, right? That's not a life I want to live. So just don't be overconfident to the point where you think you've made it. Okay, you've never made it. It's always a work in progress. You can always be more disciplined, always have more consistency. You can always do more things. So just pay attention, okay? And don't let pride be the thing that catches you off guard. And then we judge ourselves. We say, screw it, what's the point? And then we fall back into old habits because we're so distraught because we thought we finally fixed it, right? But when you know that there's going to be slip ups and then the slip ups happen, you're just like, okay, dust it off, move on, move forward. And it doesn't even ruin your results. What ruins your results is overreacting to your slip ups because we had too much pride. So that's sin number 1. Now, sin number 2 is greed. And this is kind of expecting more than you've been working for, expecting so much without actually putting effort in. And I see this, quite often as well, where, these women come to me wanting help, and I have these conversations with them for the first time, and they're like, I walk every day and I eat healthy 70% of the time. And it's like, if this has been your lifestyle for X amount of years, it's fair to say that this lifestyle has now become fairly easy, simple, and automated, right? Whatever lifestyle you're living, it's fairly easy to continue because we've got used to it, right? We can all agree on that. Which means, for the most part, the foods you're choosing, the activities you're doing, all of the stuff doesn't require a huge amount of effort because we've gotten so used to it. And so if you're not used to putting in a larger amount of effort, then when it's time to get weight loss results and you do need to crank up that effort, you're going to be caught off guard and you might not even want to put in the effort. Yet you're still going to expect results based on the little effort you do put forward or the medium effort you do put forward, right? If you half-ass your meal prep, if you half-ass your workouts and you're not intentional behind everything that you're doing, you can't expect huge transformations, right? That's just, it's not possible, right? If a student barely studies for a test, are they going to expect to get an A? No, they're gonna expect to get an F, and then they're gonna rejoice when they get a D because they didn't fail. You get what I'm saying? And so you do have to put in effort. Now, I'm not saying a ton of effort, a ton of hard work. It needs to be effort in the right areas, and you cannot let up your effort because when you let up your effort, you let up on results. And then you will be, again, disappointed that you're not seeing what you want to see, even though you think you're trying, but really you were consistent for a week, 2 weeks, when really it's about saying, okay, what can I do today that I can never stop again? Like, what is such a small thing for my health that I can incorporate today that if I started, I would never need to stop because it was so simple to do, right? Is that doing one squat while you brush your teeth? Is that repeating 5 wins throughout your day right before you go to bed? Right? It's like, what can I do today that will never fall out of my routine again because it is so manageable? And so with greed, don't get caught up in thinking because you've been trying, you should be seeing results. If you haven't been intentional and present and strategic with how you've been trying, not just trying desperately, right? Trying jumping from, fad diet to fad diet or doing more of what you're currently doing, but if that worked in the first place, you wouldn't be where you are, right? Like, we try these things, but there's no wisdom behind what we try a lot of the times. I remember I would just grasp at straws because I was so desperate to lose weight. But if I stopped and thought, you know what, that's not really sustainable. I shouldn't even start that. Or you know what, that's not really yielding me any results. It's a waste of effort that I could be putting towards meal prepping, that I could be putting towards lifting weights, that I could be putting towards, meditation to calm my stress. Like there's something that you're missing that is a bigger domino than what you're currently spending your energy on. And greed gets in our way when it blinds us because we think we should be farther along than we are, when really the effort or the area we've put the effort in was not the right place to begin with. And so there's a big disconnect. So don't get caught off of greed. If you're not seeing the results you're expecting, it means your expectations are off or your vehicle is off. So start with that and start to analyze that, right? And when you do this, you have to realize that there's more. In order to receive results, you have to give a lot, right? That's just the way of the universe. That's called karma, right? If you want to get, you must give, right? And if you want to get more, usually you can give more. And so, instead of expecting all of these results, getting, ask yourself, what have I been giving? Have I been giving, healthy advice to my spouse? Have I been giving motivation to my daughter who also wants to lose weight? Have I been giving kind words to myself? Have I been volunteering here? Have I been doing this? Like, what have I been giving back in the realm of health or just my life to where it would make sense that I would get an abundance as well? If you're not acting out of abundance, you're not going to receive abundance. And so I see greed affect a lot of women, and not greed as in, hoard, right? Greed as in I expect more than I've been working for, right? And maybe you've been working really hard, but even if it's not in the right place, that work is for nothing. And so you start to get greedy with what you're expecting because you're tired of working so hard. So it's time to switch, okay? That's the second sin. Third sin is lust. So basically, this is like shiny object syndrome. You jump from program to program. You never finish something. You fall off something because that sounds cool. Your friend saw more results over there. This makes more sense. And you never give, number one, anything a chance to actually work because there's always an adjustment period. And so if it's not feeling good or you're having side effects or whatever it may be, there's still an adjustment period. You have to give something a fair chance, number one. And number two, jumping from thing to thing, you are depriving yourself of learning how to be consistent and disciplined. And you are depriving yourself of delayed gratification, right? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, we scroll. We have the attention span of a goldfish. If something doesn't catch our attention in the first 10 seconds, we swipe to the next video to stay entertained, right? And so if that's the case, then we need to be aware that that's how we're treating our weight loss journey too. Right? We get bored of the same meals all the time. We get bored on the same program. We get bored of the same workouts. And that's fair. You should be excited and entertained in your life. Absolutely. However, there's a fine line between entertained and jumping ship too early. Right? Like you really are cutting yourself at the knees, not sticking with something long enough to see the full results or to at least strengthen your consistency character trait. So lust, be very careful. The grass is not always greener. Actually, I can bet most of the time the grass is never greener. The grass is green where you water it. And if you're focusing on all the other stuff, shiny object syndrome, you will never water your grass and it will never seem green. It will get brown, it will die. And then you will always repeat the same pattern because you're killing your grass and you don't want to stay on it anymore. So it makes sense why you've been jumping around. So it's time to fix this sin of lust. Water your grass, praise yourself, be grateful, talk about all the wins you have that aren't related to the scale. Really hype up your current situation, right? Because you do need some excitement in order to continue. Excitement is where we get our motivation. And if the scale's not moving for our motivation, you have to always see results to stay motivated. But sometimes if you're not seeing results during a certain phase in your life, it's your job to go find results or create results, meaning just look for them and make them up. Make them up, right? Like I ate 6 donuts instead of 7 donuts. Win, right? I slept 6.5 hours instead of 6. Win. Like that's how you should be rewiring your brain to water your grass. Okay. Now, sin number, what are we at? 4? I'm losing count of my numbers here. Envy. Anyway, next sin is envy. And this one I see all the time. This is probably the second most popular one I see ruin women's journey. And this is like thinking that you are on a race, like your journey's a race, right? And it's funny because health is forever, so there's really no race. You're racing to your death, right? So like chill out, calm down, and enjoy. And it's comparing yourself to everybody else you see on the same journey. But here's the thing. Nobody is on the same journey as you. Even if they are on a weight loss journey, their weight loss journey is a million times different than yours, right? Because maybe they're dealing with taking care of sick parents and still trying to balance losing weight. Maybe they're dealing with eating disorders and trying to lose weight healthy. Maybe they've never cooked a day in their life and they're trying to lose weight and learn how to cook versus what you are learning. And so their journey cannot be compared to yours because what you need to learn from this journey to be a more fulfilled, healthy version of yourself, they may have or may not have, right? So you can't look to them for advice or anything because they're not on that journey. They're not developing those character traits. They're not missing those things that you're going after. And I see it all the time. It's crazy. I deal with women who are either gaining weight or have seen no scale results. They join my program, and after 1 week, they're losing like 5 pounds, right? And they're blown away. But then they go look at another lady in my program who lost 6 pounds. So instead of cheering on and crying tears of happiness and shouting to the heavens, "Oh my God, the scale finally moved after 10 years of struggle," they say, "Oh man, I didn't lose 6 pounds." And you just completely wiped out all your hard work. You become envious of those around you. When those around you, it's like comparing apples to oranges. 2 different fruits, 2 different journeys, completely irrelevant. You have no idea what that person's going through, and that person has no idea what you're going through. Put your blinders on and compare yourself to who you were yesterday and who you were in that situation last time. So if you screwed up at a family party and overate, it's not about beating yourself up. It's about saying, was I better this family party than the family party I went to last month? Yes. Then that's a win. Move on, do better, and learn. Don't focus on everything I messed up on. Learn, move on. Learn, move on. When you go on vacation and maybe you come back 2 pounds heavier, do you ask yourself, okay, did I do better than my last vacation? Okay, what did I do last vacation? I came back 5 pounds heavier. Then that is a win. You must compare your current self to your old behavior and say, is that better? And then you must hold your current self to the standards of that future you are trying to become. And that is how you overcome the envy, especially if you're somebody that compares yourself a lot or somebody else being successful really makes you feel bad about your own success, okay? Now, the next sin is called gluttony. Now, this is basically overindulgence in all forms. It could be overindulgence of smoking, alcohol, food, overthinking, overspending, right? It could be hoard your money, hoard your money, hoard your money, and then you binge shop, right? It could be you eat super healthy, restrict, 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 binge on the weekend. Right? It can be you're an overthinker and you have analysis paralysis where you don't make decisions because you overthink so much. Gluttony is overindulgent because it's a lack of control, a lack of balance, right? And so it's about practicing restraint because what you don't want to do is have a weight loss journey where you're like super strict, blow it up. super strict, blow it up. Because that is exhausting and there's a lot of backtracking to do. And sure, you'll see fast results, but you'll also see fast, big backslides. And maybe if we just practice some more restraint, we can see fast results, maybe not as fast, but then we don't bounce up as fast. And so we have this nice in the middle balance where we're not afraid of losing our results and we're not afraid of indulging here and there because we've proven that it doesn't need to end in a big blow up. And this just takes practice, right? So different ways to kind of combat gluttony would be, if you're an overthinker, write a journal, okay? Get it out of your head. If you're an overeater, leave one bite of food left on your plate to signal to yourself that yes, you can stop, right? If you normally have an entire piece of pizza, leave one piece left, right? It's these things that are pattern interrupts that are showing your subconscious that, oh, I can change that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And we're not trying to remove these quote unquote bad habits overnight. What we're trying to do is prove to ourselves that the outcome can look slightly different. So decide what that different can be and what is manageable. And then over time, that overindulgence pendulum and intensity of swinging, it slows down and there's way less swinging. And you feel way more in control, way more relaxed. And you don't really blow all your progress that quickly, right? You can have a nice weekend where you don't count things or don't measure things and you go up 1 or 2 pounds, but then, Monday, Tuesday rolls around, you're back on it and you're back down in weight. And that's how we kind of sustain long term. So be very careful of gluttony. I see this a lot because a lot of women come from a past of really struggling. So they want to see, fast, amazing results. But then when they get to their goal, because it happened faster than they expected, they didn't prepare along the way for how to maintain that goal. So they blow back up because they have those gluttony tendencies. So along your weight loss journey is not after your goal. While you're reaching your goal, you must practice restraint so that you have it when you've reached your goal. And then the last sin, the 7th deadly sin of weight loss, is wrath. And this is basically kind of like the way that you self-sabotage yourself. It's probably the 3rd most common one that I see. You're self-sabotaging yourself. You're getting so upset when things don't go perfect. But if I asked you rationally, is life perfect? You'd say no. If I asked you rationally, are you going to slip up a couple times in the rest of your life? You're going to say yes. So rationally, you know that there are failures and slip-ups in your future. But when they happen, we go crazy. We turn a little setback into a disaster and we spiral. And it just throws you completely off. And it's funny, it's like if you go to a hairdresser and she cuts your hair a little short and you're like, oh, screw it, just shave it all off. That doesn't even make sense. You can hide the short piece, right? Like chill out, relax. You didn't ruin anything, okay? So you have to realize that reactivity is your worst enemy, okay? You must talk things or write things out so you get out of your own head. And you must realize that there's no such thing as failure, to be honest. Failure is only classified as a failure if it makes you stop trying. So there's no such thing as failures. There's no such thing as messing up. There's no such thing as a setback. There's no such thing as falling off of a wagon. Everything that happens along your journey is part of your journey, and it is your journey. It is not good. It is not bad. It just is. Accept it, learn, move on. And do not react to it. You can analyze it to find triggers and why you did that and how to prevent it going forward. But if you react and you yell at yourself or you beat yourself up or you feel guilty, you are making a situation 10 times worse because now you feel bad about feeling bad. Not only do you feel bad because you messed up, now you're like, oh, I shouldn't even be feeling bad. You feel bad about feeling bad, and it's like this weird downward spiral. So you need to, in these moments of reactivity or intense emotion, just zoom out really quick and think long term. Is this day going to matter 1 year from now when I'm at my goal and I'm crushing it? I have a brand new body, brand new lifestyle. I'm completely transformed. 1 year from now, am I going to worry about this day? The answer is always no. 1 year from now, you'll probably be thankful that this day happened because it taught you something you needed to reach the next level. And so in these heated moments, stay calm, think long term, zoom out. Is this going to matter 1 year from now? So those are the 7 deadly sins of weight loss. I'd be super curious to know which one you think kind of kicks you in the butt in a bad way and always gets you. Which one always seems to get you? And moving forward, how can you work on it? Okay? Because once you know all the things that could sabotage you, once you know all the things that you fall victim to, we can now spot them easier and say, no, not this time. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you got any value at all, I'd love it if you left a 5-star review to help more women find this podcast and get the support that they need. And if you're looking to speed up your weight loss and take your transformation to the next level, then head on over to Trimera.com. TRIMMERA.com. I'll catch you on the next episode, and welcome to your Trim Era.